Hello YouTube, and welcome back to another video. We are starting a series where we talk more about filmmaking and some of the concepts and things that you need to know when you are wanting to be an aspiring or emerging filmmaker, and how to make those things happen and bring together your vision. So one of the main concepts that we're going to be talking about today, and I want to show you today, is how to storyboard. Storyboarding is quite important, especially, as you do a project, you want to keep everything organized because, of course, when you're filming, you're not necessarily filming in the sequential order that you actually see it on the screen. So you want to make sure that everybody who is on board understands what is happening in a visual manner. So there's so many different ways that you can do storyboards. They can be as simple as just some squares on a page that you can draw yourself. You can also do this in some sort of digital manner, such as in Milanote or in any other type of software that you can get squares. And you can even do it as simple and basic as this. And ultimately, this tells a story. It basically tells the story of a couple getting ready to have breakfast, and they're talking about making their decision, and then one person goes and they get the orange juice out of the refrigerator and then gets themselves one, and then they sit down together in the end to have their juice. And their stick figures, it really doesn't need to be super extensive. That's something that took me so long to understand, and a pitfall that I had. I'd written such a large project in my earlier days before I realized I needed to make smaller projects so that I can get them created. And in that process, I thought that I needed to get a talented artist and all these things and storyboard software. And these days, with AI and technology at our fingertips, it makes it so much easier to do an incredible, simple storyboard, really with everything that you need. And that's how I have found a workaround on being able to get really nice quality storyboards that helped tell the story and create the images and the sequence of how I want the story to flow. Also remember that when you're creating a storyboard, you don't need every scene to be a part of the storyboard. You only need some of your key scenes that you really want to display. Another note that you want to be mindful about is when you're going to change your camera settings or change the lighting or change the angles, that's something that you want to storyboard that first scene with the new direction or the new angle, so that you can get that captured, and it's easier to have a visual for your staff or your crew, your team, or if you're trying to pitch this to someone, whoever you're pitching it to get an understanding and a visual on just kind of what you're trying to do and what things are going to look like once you guys start to film. And it really helps you in those moments to kind of guide you, because so many things are happening when you're actually in the producing a film, that on that day you'll be able to save so much time and energy by knowing exactly what the next scene setup is going to look like and what you need, so that you can make sure you have everything you need on the set, as well as it also helps you know the amount of crew that you're going to need for certain scenes, because you'll know just how extensive the scene needs to be set up, and also what kind of camera lenses that you're going to be using, because knowing the angle, if you're going to do a wide shot or a medium shot or a full body shot, will help you know what kind of camera lenses you need to know, especially if you don't already own them and you're thinking about ordering them to rent. So that's also very helpful. There's so much information that you get from using a storyboard. So let's go ahead and take a look at getting started with Open AI, and then we'll move over into Canva, and I'll show you just how to place those into Canva. So we're gonna go over to my monitor, and I'm gonna show you guys just what I do. Okay, so once you open up your OpenAI, you're going to go to Storyboard, and once you get there, now you have a couple of options when you get into Storyboard. You can actually make them little short video renders, and where you can see the action and the movement of how you want the characters to move. But I actually didn't really want that. I really wanted something that was closer to a traditional storyboard. So I really just wanted the images. So in that case, you can click right here where it says create image. And now one thing that you would I have found very, very helpful is you want to go to the top before you get started, and you want to create your characters. And therefore, all you're doing when you're actually doing your storyboard, you're just basically putting the names of your characters in, and they already have a good image of what you want your character to look like. And most of the time, it's pretty spot on. There are a couple of times where AI starts to run away with itself and starts making up characters, and you're like, this is literally not the character. But as long as you kind of give it a little bit of hints, it'll get back on track and really get pretty spot on again. So what we'll do is we'll go here, and we're just going to put in, I have a couple of characters already there, so we're just going to put those characters. And you just are going to put what you would like the characters to be doing in this scene. And when you're using OpenAI, you're going to want to remember, like, if you do create characters so that you can just basically input them into the storyboards where it knows who you're referring to and what these characters look like. If you're going to do that, when you put it's going to give you a drop down box, and then you can go ahead and select the characters that you want to use in this particular scene. So we're going to actually use our same kind of theme where, of our little drawing, we're going to use the same concept. So they're going to sit at the breakfast table. For breakfast together. Okay, and then we're going to select generate. And then it's going to do its magic. It's pretty quick. You'll go ahead and download the image if it meets your approval. To go ahead and generate the next one, what you'll do is you'll go ahead and select the plus button. Once you select the plus button, you're going to repeat the first steps for the first process. Then we're going to move over to Canva, and you're going to select which storyboard you want. It's going to give you the images with the frames, and you're just going to delete those images because you don't need them. And in fact, since our story that we're using as our little example only has 3 major plots to our story, we're going to only use 3 instead of the traditional 6. And so I'm just working things out here, and then you can see me drop the images in. Next, you're going to go over and you're going to bring from your download, put in Canva, because you can't use it until you do that. Once you have downloaded your images into Canva, and you can do that by just dragging it. It's available to you, so you can actually pull it from your Canva uploads. They call it uploads, I think. You can just pop them in your frames, and it honestly is just that simple. Next, you're going to use these text boxes that you see. This is where you're going to explain what's happening, a very brief explanation of what's happening in this scene. You only need like a sentence, maybe possibly 2. And you're just going to repeat that for each story block. So just, with each scene, you're going to just describe what's happening. Now, moving on, this is something that's optional and doesn't always happen in a story board, but something that I've noticed more lately and it's very helpful is being able to do kind of your shot list here, where you kind of put what the shot is going to be. And this particular one example, they're all medium shots. You can also put things like what camera lens you're going to put here. You can do all of that actually in your storyboard nowadays. So if I were you, to save on time, you can totally take advantage of that option. And that is how you create a storyboard using AI and Canva. Please subscribe to the channel if this was helpful.